Good afternoon, my name is Allistaire, Executive Chef at Boschendal, and today we're going to be cooking some delicious slow-cooked beef short rib. Okay, so short rib is one of my ultimate favorite things to cook because I'm a big fan of low and slow. I love starting off on something and allowing it to cook slowly, and in between drinking some wine, chatting to some friends, or going on with some other things around the house, and just letting the meat cook slowly on a low temperature in the oven. I love this beef short ribs from the farm. This is our Angus beef, and one of the reasons why I love it is because it's got such a good mix of meat to fat ratio. Also, the flavors are unbelievable. So I'm a big believer in a minimalist approach to cooking, where we allow the ingredients to shine, and this will be and this is a good example of that. To start off, we're going to season the short ribs. We're going to season it with a selection of spices like coriander, cumin, Szechuan pepper, black pepper, and some salt, and we've blitzed it all together. Just going to season it lightly. Allow the meat to sit for 5 or 6 minutes or so, and that just allows the seasoning to permeate the meat. So while the meat's busy resting seasoning over here, I'm going to put together the marinade, which has an Asian influence, some soy sauce, some brown sugar, some ginger, some garlic. These chilies come straight from the Werf food garden, and they pack a beautiful punch. All these flavors together gives you a nice sweet, sour, sticky sort of vibe going with your short rib. And the spices over here just adds a little bit of earthiness to it, just to balance out the flavor profiles.
Brilliant.
So I'm just going to mix the marinade for now. And what we'll do is we'll put the short rib back into the marinade, and we'll just let it sit for 2 or 3 hours to infuse. Once the short rib has been marinating for 2 or so hours, we're going to take it across to the braai, the charcoal grill, and we're going to give it some nice char. And what that does also is it renders out some of the fat, but it also gives off an amazing smoky flavor. So you're sitting with this rich, sticky short rib flavors that's got these undertones of smokiness, and then obviously your sweet, sour, umami flavors coming through from the Asian influence. So now that we've got all the ingredients mixed together, the sugar's just dissolved a little bit. We'll add the short ribs in. You're gonna have to get your hands dirty on this one. And just make sure that you coat the short rib in that marinade, and we make sure that all the flavors infuse nicely and that your short rib is covered so that you get good flavor. So we remove the meat from the fridge. It's been marinating for 2 to 3 hours or so, and we're just going to give it a nice char on the grill. We're very lucky at the Werf Restaurant to have an inside charcoal grill. Obviously you can do this outside on your Weber. If you don't have charcoal, then you can do it on a gas fire, but preferably on a Weber with wood or charcoal, so it gives off a nice smoky flavor, and it really gives you a different depths of flavor profiles with the umami, the sweet, the sour coming through from the short rib. So, I mean, as these things are busy grilling, you'll smell a caramelized burn flavor or smell. It's not, the meat isn't burning, it's just the sugar and the natural sugars from the soy sauce that's now obviously beginning to caramelize. And that's okay, because again, it also adds a different depth of flavor. So these have been going for about 5 or 6 minutes or so. And as you can see, there's some good caramelization on there, the fat starting to render, and it's just the smoky flavors, and you're definitely going to get some nice flavor profiles coming through of the smoky, the caramelization of the burnt sugar, as well as the richness of the meat. From there we're going to pop it over into a thick based pot. Okay, so now we're going to add the liquids that we're going to use to braise. Some beef stock, the leftover liquid from the marinade. We'll add a few of these herbs and spices in there. Freshly squeezed apple juice, and this apple juice also just adds a nice flavor profile, like that sweet sour that I was talking about. This will definitely help with that. And some rice wine vinegar. Once all the liquid's in, we're going to pop this in the oven at 160 degrees. And it cooks for about 3.5 hours until it starts falling off the bone. So I've removed the short rib from the oven now. It's been in the oven for about 3.5 hours and the meat's starting to fall off the bone. What I like to do is, if you've put it in a pot, a cast iron pot or a stainless steel pot, I like to put it back onto the heat and just let the sauce inside reduce. While it's reducing, baste the meat nicely. It gives it a nice coating. If you haven't used a cast iron pot and you've used like a baking dish or something, then just strain some of the liquid out into a pot and then reduce that liquid in the pot and just pour it back over the short ribs. That's looking amazing. Before we plate up the short rib, I'm going to finish it off. I've got a mix here of sliced chilies, picked coriander and spring onions, fresh spring onions, all from our garden. I'm just going to put it in there. I'm going to add it in and I'm going to stir it through just to add a nice freshness, and then we'll plate up. So before we plate up the short rib, we're going to plate up some kimchi. This is some homemade kimchi, and you can make kimchi from almost any sorts of vegetable. This is made from Chinese cabbage, and it really does add a nice freshness, a nice tang as an accompaniment to the meal. You can make it at home, but we are also selling this kimchi at our pop-up farm shop at the Werf Restaurant in Boschendal. Okay, some fragrant rice, some jasmine rice with some lemon zest, fresh herbs and spices, and then some delicious short rib. Some of that lovely sauce. There you go. Some Asian sticky beef short ribs. Enjoy.